Well, good evening. I'll call to order the Monday, October 16th meeting of the Collegedale City Commission. I want to welcome everyone this evening. And as we begin the meeting this evening, I've asked Commissioner Baker to lead us in an invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you for your guidance, Lord. Father, we ask that you would watch over our country and all those that are in Israel right now and even in Pakistan, Lord. I ask God that you would move forward, bless and protect, and be with Katie as she is visiting family and so forth, Lord. We give you the glory, the praise, and the honor in Christ's name. Amen. Let's stand, please. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Baker,
Here.
Commissioner Lamb, Commissioner Sadler,
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Mayor Lloyd.
Here. And I believe we've all had a chance to review the previous meeting minutes from the October 2nd commission meeting. Are there any questions, changes, deletions? Do we have a motion for approval?
I'll move to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion for approval and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Sadler,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lloyd.
Yay. And next, we open the floor up to our citizens of Collegedale for any comments that you may have. If you have a comment, we ask that you step up to the microphone, give us your name and your address, and address the commission, please. And without any comments being made, we'll move on to unfinished business, none, and new business. First item on tonight's agenda is approval to sign a quitclaim deed for the new public library building.
This simply drops the deed restriction that the structure has to remain a library. So it's our building to use as we please. So if at some point in time in the future, the city was to create a new library somewhere else, that structure could be repurposed.
That structure
Could be repurposed.
could be
When it
repurposed.
was given to us by the county, it had a deed restriction that it had to always be a library. That's
Okay.
simply going away.
We can
Okay.
use it for another public purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
How did that
Any-
come about?
I'm sorry.
I was wondering how that come out and how they changed their mind to allow us to do that.
It's a new administration that we're working with.
That helps. Thank you.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
And we have a motion for approval and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Sadler,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lloyd.
Yay. And next item under new business is approval of 2 new public library board members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The library board would like to put forward 2 new members for appointment by the commissioners, Karen Powell and Jennifer Mullins. Karen Powell is a Collegedale resident. She is a director of records and advisement at Southern Adventist University. And she comes to us saying that she's an avid reader, strongly believe that libraries are an asset to the community. And she grew up in the library and found it a good source of information and a critical role in communities by providing information. Our next candidate is Jennifer Mullins. She is a non-resident, and she is currently working for an organization that is partnered with healthcare payers to build provider networks for government programs such as Medicare and Medicaid. She's a lifelong reading enthusiast, and she enjoys promoting literacy and the importance of reading. So,
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
sure.
Do both of these people have library cards?
Yes, they're current members of the library.
All right, I just want to make sure their heart's in it.
Put that in there, but thank you for asking. Yes,
Are they here with us this evening?
no.
Okay.
Oh, there's one back there.
Sorry.
How were they,
That's Karen Powell.
how were they selected?
We had our interview process where we put out that we were looking for a volunteer to be on the board. At the same time, we found out another member was stepping down. So they took the candidates that came in for that. And then our library board went through a series of interviews, and these are the two that they came forward.
Was this on social media posted, or how was it?
We may have, I was trying to remember what all we put out. I know we put it out in the newsletter too, and it was posted on our site. I think we did put it in social media. We usually try to put it in 3 different places.
Is that Jennifer or Karen back there? God,
I
good to see a
asked,
face.
I asked because when I was campaigning, I actually had several people in the community that said they would like more opportunities to serve the city. And I've seen where Chattanooga and Signal Mountain are now advertising when they have board openings for people to apply, and then the commission does the process of narrowing it down and selecting it.
I know that when I was on the commissioner on the library, we did like that to advertise or whatever. We also did word of mouth and people that were recommended, and then they were called in for an interview. They were very thorough in what they were looking for. So it can be just anybody.
Right.
They had to meet certain criteria.
The one, like you said, the main criteria was that they were library users.
Yeah. And and then we have to have one that is not, you have to have one that is not on a Collegedale resident and one that is. That's the bylaws.
Yeah, from the bylaws.
Yeah.
So
They both meet that qualification.
Yeah.
are you talking about in the paper?
Well, not
advertising?
necessarily having to go in the paper, but they are doing their city social media. I'm just kind of concerned maybe we didn't have it out there well
I don't
enough, 'cause
remember.
I didn't,
that.
I didn't see
remember-
anything until it was on the
Yeah,
agenda.
I did not see it out there, so maybe that's something we can do.
Can do better.
Just to partner with our
I know we did an
community.
interior, like, posting inside the library, and we usually do 2 to 3 ways of posting it.
When it could go on on the Collegedale,
We can,
Website.
I haven't checked with them if we could post things on the.
Yeah.
Collegedale.
that way,
Right.
that would appease everyone.
Should we, I mean, we've got a social media site, right? For the
We do,
library?
and so in the future, we can make sure it gets shared there as well.
Yeah, because that
Who
would be
updates
good.
the website, the social media site on like Facebook for them?
Just,
Yeah, so in the future, for any public board selections, we'll just make sure to get it posted on our social media.
I'd like to see the newsletter that you have on your website posted out there as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it gets more word out about what the library is doing.
Sure, we're always about getting the word out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
include all of us. I'd like to see that as well.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, any further questions? Okay, do we have a motion for approval for these 2 ladies?
I make a motion that we approve.
I'll second that. And can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Sadler,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lloyd.
Yay. So welcome, Ms. Powell and Ms. Mullins. Welcome. Glad to have you serving our community. Thank you so much. Next, we have our September financial report.
Good evening, Commissioners. You should have the September finance report in front of you. We're 25% of the way through the year, and we have received 13% of revenues and have spent 30% of expenditures. A couple of items to note, as far as the revenues go, the one that really stands out happens to be the library revenue. So we have received over half of what we received in the total of fiscal year '23. As of, we're a quarter of the way through the year. So library revenues are coming in great.
Okay.
And then as far as expenditures go, the Public Works is a little bit over, and I looked and researched that a little bit, and it's because we've spent most of the paving that we budgeted for the year. So that's why it looks a little high.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everything looks good. The bank balances, I did a transfer from our investment account into the checking account, which we do a couple times a year.
Any questions any of the commissioners have?
What ended up making that transfer necessary? I see that it dipped down from 16 to 14 million.
Yes, I did a $2 million transfer into the checking account. Just generally, we spend the most money July, August, the first quarter. So it's necessary that we have enough in the checking to cover it. That's due to insurance payments, just large payments we make, the debt payments in the first quarter, all of those.
Okay, so that's why the debt service is showing like at 93%.
Yeah, it's all, yeah.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a
Second.
second? We have a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Sadler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lloyd.
Yay. And next, request for reports from city administration.
One thing to add is a workshop next week, 4:30. So see
Okay.
everybody there.
Right. And from our commissioners.
I do have some thoughts tonight. There's been a few things on my mind, and paraphrasing the words of a former very wise commissioner, Phil Garber, when you have someone doing 2 full-time jobs, sometimes you get part-time effort in both positions. And I'd like for us at the workshop to discuss splitting up the city manager, city engineer position and what that would look like. My thoughts tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we agreed to do this for a while, but that might be a good conversation to have.
It would, since we backfilled the position with the staff engineer, it would really just come down to renegotiating my contract. That would be the biggest change. Because I'm sure the commissioners would still expect that I was reviewing certain plans when they come in, such as the Edgemond Road project and that sort of thing that we need to divide and conquer, still doing pre-submittal meetings and that sort of thing, just because I have the skill set, unless that's not the goal of the commission. But really, it would come down to renegotiating the contract. So we can put that on the agenda.
I think with your skill set and education, you're probably valuable to us on Sanborn when, like with the last project that we had to go out a house for on the engineering project because you didn't have time to do that one.
Yeah. Which is typical for a couple of decades now. So, but
Yeah, Joe used to do that, Farrell, when we had him.
before I was city engineer, I actually did it when I was a consulting engineer, when Joe was the city engineer. So that's been typical practice since '86, when Joe started. But we can absolutely have that conversation. Would you send me what you're thinking it would look like so that we can frame the conversation?
Well, I think it's going to be mostly a discussion probably between the commission on what we want to see if we split it up.
So what are your thoughts about handling both jobs?
Since Chris has been brought on staff for 2 years now, I feel like it's functioning. I feel like having the engineering background gives me a leg up on certain projects like the Edgemond Road project that I'm critically involved in and that my skill sets are needed for, or projects of that magnitude. I mean, that is the largest residential development the city's ever seen. And I think it would be short-sighted when those skill sets could be used there to just simply say, well, no, the commission doesn't want me to. But if that's the view of the commission, I do agree. I do not have time to do design projects. That's not, can't be done. But like has been pointed out, historically, we haven't done a lot of those in-house anyhow. So I would really like some clarification on what we're looking to achieve by separating the positions.
For me, for one, I feel like we're getting left out of some conversations, and maybe that's just because you don't have time to communicate with us as much as some of us would expect. So splitting
What
it up.
conversations would that be, if you could give me an example?
For example, there is a community meeting tomorrow night, and other than knowing that one was coming up, if I hadn't seen it online, I wouldn't have known that it was going to be tomorrow night.
So how would you have liked to have been, I mean, it's the review meeting. It's not the public meeting that we're hoping to hold later. So,
It's still something going on in the city, and the commissioners should know what's going on in the city without finding out when everyone else does.
okay. I mean, you approved the contract, but sure. Can you give me another example? I don't understand what separating the positions has to do with feeling left out of a planning conversation. So I'm just trying to understand your perspective.
There's also the election commission. There were conversations going on with the election commission that we didn't know about.
Yes, there were lots of conversations with the electorate, the election commission, and the commission was previously briefed on that a while back.
I don't believe we were briefed on early voting not happening at all in the city being a possibility.
We were not briefed on, we did not have that conversation because we were not aware that that was a possibility until recently, and then it was resolved.
Barely resolved, probably.
Why
But
would you
this is
assume
where I am and
probably?
why I would like to talk about this next
I
week.
still don't understand. If you feel like I'm not communicating, that's one conversation. I don't understand what that has to do with both titles.
Because you only have so many hours in the day.
Okay.
Hey, so let me ask a quick question, just for the position we hired for 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Is this person capable to doing what we need him to do as a full-time engineer?
He is able and capable of doing what we need him to do on a daily basis. We do not have the in-house resources to do design like we haven't. It's pretty uncommon for a city of our size to do larger design projects. He did a lot of the design for the ADA ramps at the Medic 5 and those sorts of projects, overseeing the RFQs and bid processes for the pump station rebuild. Those sorts of things are his daily activities, but designing the parking lot would not be, and historically has not been.
I mean, I know, so historically, I've been on the commission quite a while.
Mhm.
I know Joe used to send stuff out
Mhm.
for design.
Mhm.
He was good at what he did, of course, but
Right.
I remember us quite often sending stuff out. Is that the same scenario, I guess?
It is. We sent out, going back several years, I'll just go off the top of my head. The force main redesign went out, the pump station rebuild went out, this parking lot went out, Prospect Church Road bridges went out. We did the sidewalks in-house from last year. So yeah, a lot of the design projects still go out. The in-house resources do plan review, in-house project execution, things of that nature.
So if we were to hire an engineer as a separate position, what would change?
I don't know that we would get, I think the expense of separating the positions and filling it would be more than spending the $28,000 for this parking lot design on an annual basis. And so was that your suggestion, or was it to delete the position?
My suggestion is to split them and look for a city manager. And while I'm thinking about the engineering positions, so the handicap spots that are being added now at Little Debbie Park, was that an oversight that we
Yes.
didn't do that on the front end?
It was not caught during design.
Is the city paying for that correction now?
Yes.
May I ask a question, just to backtrack to see if I heard you correctly? What are you wanting to, did you say something about doing away with the city managers and are you wanting to revert him back to being an engineer, or what exactly? Explain it to me.
To me, it makes the most sense with his educational background and experience is to use him in a role that he's strong at. And then,
Yeah, and he's strong at both. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He's strong at both. I understand though where you're coming from, because there comes a time you got to have help. You can't do it all. In the past, we've had managers, not just the previous one, but others, that they've had to take on more responsibilities because of the size of our city and so forth. I think what we're looking at here, and the reason is it's very difficult to get a city or an engineer of your magnitude, that you're referring to, for our city at a reasonable price. There's not many of them. There was a shortage. Therefore, that's why you took on some of the responsibility. Number one, you know what you're doing. And it also alleviated the city from having to try to come up with a larger pay scale, but there was just no one there to take it. People were not biting for the position. Do you remember?
It took a year and a headhunter to find Chris.
To find, yeah.
It
and-
did, and I mean, you are correct. Some of the two reasons in my mind with the dual titles, one
Yeah.
was for when eventually I am put back as city engineer, I'm gainfully employed still
Right.
as part of the severance package. And
So-
the other was,
So
for that year, we didn't have an engineer.
are we talking here, for my clarification, are we talking here, I understand about wearing a hat,
Mhm.
okay? A city manager has to know not just like engineering, you have to know other concepts, which you do. You've learned through the years that you've been with us, or number one, you wouldn't have been hired by our previous engineer, which we trusted, and he was very good at. So you are well educated in running the city and so forth, and I actually think you've done a fabulous job at it. You and I have had differences,
We
but
have,
we've always been able to voice it. You were listening to reason, and we moved on.
Mhm.
So in my mind, I'm thinking that people are thinking that you're getting paid more for doing two jobs and not really doing the city manager's job, which actually no one really knows what it is to be a city manager until you actually do the job.
I think my predecessor put it that way, yes.
Yeah, because that's true, and there's things like you may do because of efficiency you can do. Just like in my job, there's things that I can do that I'm very efficient at. And when I need help, I ask, or I'll say, okay, I need someone to come help me with this. However, I still have the expertise that I can take on the position as being a commissioner and not neglect my responsibilities in either place. And, looking at that way, because some people, and I'm going to tell you, and when you're in education, you have to have two jobs, especially if you're supporting your family that doesn't pay enough. I feel an undercurrents here that we're looking at possibly wanting to look to see about replacing you as city manager. I disagree with that,
Thank you.
okay? And wholeheartedly disagree with that because I have been around the block once or twice, okay? I can understand if your load is heavy that we need to hire someone with some engineering background, part-time or whatever, if that calls for it, then that's fine. But you're supposed to be able, city manager is supposed to be able to know what's going on in every city. He has to know police, he has to know sewer, he has to know all that, and you know that. You've been with us a long time, before you were even a city manager, all right? So I understand what Commissioner Sadler's saying. If it's a time that we need to hire somebody else to help you to move forward or to get the job done for our city since we've grown, I have no problem with that. But to replace or divide it up, I don't think we have the monies to go out and pay what it would cost to put someone in that position, nor do I know if there's someone out there that has that, because we looked for a year and a half to get the one that we've got. And that was through headhunters. So I think we have to look at a lot here, okay? I think I think we all need to be proactive and see what we can do to be supportive of each other to make our city grow. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
You need
I would like to concur with you, Commissioner Baker. I have had mayors of municipal governments in Hamilton County comment to me, said, you guys are really fortunate to have Wayne Hines as your city manager. I know it's not your background, but I think you've done an excellent job. You and I don't see eye to eye on certain things, but that's okay. We're not supposed to, but we can have intelligent conversations, and I appreciate that. I think you've done an excellent job, and I would see no reason to make a change. However, if you need help from an engineering standpoint, I think, we would like for you to speak up, let us know, because we want to provide the help that you might need. But I would concur with Commissioner Baker. It is very helpful to have someone with your background in that position, because we've got a lot going on right now from a construction standpoint, a lot of roads being worked on, a lot of changes happening to our city. And I appreciate the job that you're doing.
Thank you. And I'm doing my best to thread that needle, and outsourcing the parking lot, I think is doing that. Needed some help, and acknowledged I couldn't get it done in-house. But I, at this time, don't feel like the best value for the city is 2 full-time on-staff engineers. I think there'd be a little downtime, but we can open that up at workshop for the commission to discuss.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of my commissioners here. I see what Tanya's saying as well. I echo sometimes that we need to do more about communicating. Your newsletter that you send us every Friday, definitely appreciate that 200%. It is
Yeah.
definitely good information. And, I agree. Could you tell us more information up front? I don't know. Do we need somebody to support you to kind of help communicate stuff out? But I think we need to use every resource we have to talk about what's going on within the city. Whether that be building permits. I mean, we get a report at the end of the week, new businesses and stuff like that. I understand that, but I appreciate everything you've done. I too have received comments. Appreciate what you do for us. And they're very jealous, if you will, some of them. So,
Do you need a secretary?
I will make a more conscious effort, Commissioner Sadler, to take better notes, to communicate more things to you. Any oversights in communication or omissions on my part, or sensitive issues, but I will continue to work to communicate.
I still think about be a good thing to have on the
The
workshop.
workshop
flesh it out a little
discuss.
bit
And that way, as we talk about, maybe we can have some good dialogue back and forth, what we can do as commissioners
Help with the
and
communication.
input.
Input and communicating, so that you don't have to carry a heavy load.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we do have to be mindful of what our positions are and what we're required by law. We're legislative. But at the same time, we do want to, and I do want to know things up front, to be honest with you, because it gives me time to think about it. And on that note, and I don't mean to change the subject, but I would like to let you know that I'm not the only one that's not getting their emails. With the group when you send out group commissioner?
I received an email that they had fixed that for you. Have they not?
No. And I just found out our mayor is not receiving them.
Too?
Yeah, if a citizen sends an email to commissioners at Collegedale, I'm not getting those.
I'm not either.
Okay.
And there's another email list that only the mayor and the vice mayor are on. Myself, Lamb, and Baker are not receiving the emails that go to all employees. Just the 2 of them are.
That we're for some reason, there's a little
I
haywire.
wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
For
And
some-
it's not-
For some reason, I'm getting the one that go to all the commissioners.
Yeah.
Are you getting any of
I'm
those?
getting all commissioners, but not all employees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I'm not sure why they may not be getting it.
So Commissioner Baker, is your Collegedale email address not working at all, or is it just those 2 listservs?
I'm not getting anything from Collegedale.
Okay.
Okay. If you send it to my school address, to my office there, I get it.
But you're not getting, for instance, the
Nothing from
Friday emails, you're
Collegedale.
not getting duplicates, right?
When you text me and when you send it to my address, email that I gave you, I get those.
Okay.
And I'm not getting the group.
I'll follow up first thing in the morning and
Then, because what I was told when I spoke with the gentleman is that it was they were not added to, and that's probably what's happened to you too. They are not being certified, or they were not certified to be added to the email list. That's what the gentleman told me from the company.
I will get on the phone in the morning. And
I'd appreciate that, because see, I haven't gotten, I had to come get the agendas. I have to, I call around or whatever, or if, until they do get it fixed, if everyone would use my school email to get it to me. At first, I thought it was them, but it's not.
Okay.
So, and so the gentleman, from, is it
EC3.
VC3,
But I'll
tell me
call
what
our-
was going on,
I'll call our client services rep in the morning and
if they would. And if they need to
Great.
drop us out and redo us, maybe that's what they need to do.
I don't care what they need to do.
Mhm.
It just needs to be fixed.
I'd
That
appreciate
will be
it.
expressed very clearly and succinctly in the morning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. One question I had, how are we progressing on the Edgerman Road project? I know it's putting a lot of pressure.
Started this morning. So some of the utilities came back marked in different locations, so excavation was a hair slower, but as of 4:30-ish, we had not run into them. We believed, and after subsequent conversations with Donnie Chastain, that the markings they did on Sunday were incorrect. And since Donnie's lived there forever, it appears that he is correct, but we're still tracking for Friday. We've also been Eric found a contact at Waze, which is now owned by Google. So they've broken the tie, showing that that section of road is closed for the week. So
that because of the
navigation shouldn't be
sinkhole?
carrying it through. Yes, ma'am. So we jumped off this morning.
Okay, so the Edgerman will reopen end of the day Friday or?
That's the
idea?
goal. We'll get loud on social media once we see how the weather and the progress goes. We've got to get it excavated and see what we find once we get down there.
Okay. Yeah, I know, like I said, it's just putting a lot of pressure on Appleton Pike and
It is.
any further word from Wright Brothers as to how Appleton Pike is progressing?
Situation normal, on track.
Okay.
That's all we get.
Is there something we can do to get them off track moving? Can we light a candle under the rear end?
We could reach out to Representative Vital, who's on the Transportation Committee. I brought it up at the legislative luncheon that was our main focus project-wise this year, and expressed how we wanted it.
I mean, it appears the work down by the airport is moving along at a pretty good
Yeah.
clip, but everyone's commenting, where are the additional bridge spans? You know, why are the piers not going up? Are you hearing anything about that?
Not a thing.
Or you think it's because of the railroad? Is it, I know there was a concern about the railroad and how close it was.
That was resolved during design on one of the couple of redesigns for that span. I think it's the way that they are just running their critical path on their schedule. It's how they're running the job.
Okay.
On the Christmas parade survey results, we had, I believe, over 50 people that said they would do a float. So with that, I mean, I don't think you really want more than 50 participants probably in a parade. What were the feelings?
I had planned to put that on the workshop agenda to discuss in more depth.
I thought we were doing that so we could decide tonight.
Just,
Just
I think one thing, and I understand where you're coming from, because when you do a parade, if you're going to do it right, you can't wait till the last minute to do it. So are we looking at maybe doing it next year? Are we looking at doing something with Southern?
So our conversations with Southern is they are very interested and would love to work together to do it as part of the Christmas tree lighting next year.
Next year, not this
They
year?
don't have the bandwidth or time to get it together at this point. City staff does not either. So what I was going to propose at the workshop was that we will start as soon as 4th of July or Freedom Festival is over in July, getting everyone lined up and coordinating with Southern to do it as part of their Christmas tree lighting next year.
Because you have to have time. You can't do it. I mean, we can get a few trucks out there, maybe a few floats. I do not want a shoddy job. I'm not saying these people would do a shoddy job, but when you rush to do something, something does, always something goes wrong. And so I like to have our P's and Q's. I've worked on things like this before. You start way ahead of the game. when we have our 4th of July, we start the next week planning for the next year for the 4th of July.
So if
Okay?
we're going to put our signature on something, I want to make sure it's done right. I don't want to throw something together. I've done events for 30 years, and I know there has to be a coordinator, there has to be a committee. And at this point, I'm not aware that we have either one. So I
we do.
want to make sure, I'm all in favor of doing a Christmas parade, but let's do it right.
Get back on track with it. I also like to do, I like Commissioner Sadler idea about, I like a winter wonderland or something up here, more at the Commons. I know that we don't run the Commons, that's a separate thing. But if we can do something maybe around this area to make it brighter and offer more family opportunities. I would like to state though, just because it's my personal pet peeve, if we have vendors, the trucks and things like that, they sell things at a reasonable price. Okay, I know they're fabulous, and if I go to a French cuisine, I'll pay the price for a French cuisine, okay? But it needs to be where families can afford to feed their kids if they're gonna buy something.
Mhm.
Especially, a lot of our families have more than 2 children. They shouldn't have to pay $150 to buy their kids a meal from a truck.
And that's something that we're continuing to work on these events is right sizing and who the food vendors are, making sure we have enough,
Mhm.
making sure that there's enough diversity in what they're providing in terms of not only dietary, but price point.
Yeah, I said more like for entertainment and more for family activities, make it, like a tradition, but I don't want to say in place of, but I think we need to do something for our citizens because
And Christina will present on where she's at next week as far as for the city's Christmas program at the Commons. So she'll
Okay.
give you a brief overview of that next week.
yeah, we should be having a meeting come up because now I'm on Parks and Recreation, so I should get some information there. But I'm just voicing that. I think that we need to do something.
For the workshop, can you bring the numbers on what is already budgeted for Christmas? Did we have something budgeted for Christmas?
I'll see what we have. We did not put it together as a line item, but I'll see roughly where we are.
So there wasn't anything pre-budgeted?
Sometimes that's taken out of the budget that, say, for example, of the library, they're given a certain budget for the year. It's taken out of that. They budget it within their budget. Does that make sense? So that's what,
I'll bring what numbers we have.
I know we did that
I don't
once.
want to misspeak.
So I'm going to say something. I know that I think the Christmas parade would be great. And I know that Commissioner Sadler has been talking about that for quite some time. And I know we've canceled the last couple of workshops. I honestly believe if we had started it, when we started talking about it, I think we could have had something nice, I don't know that we have to have something very elegant, or I know there's a concern about how do you get people in and out, traffic wise, and we kind of always had that problem, getting either closing part of Absent Pike or fireworks, we close it. I understand that as a concern. We threw out a couple of examples of, possibilities. I know the chief didn't really think it was safe on some of them, and I understand that. I just don't know that I want it on the southern side. I think that this is the town center. That's where the parade should be, in my eyes. And I don't know how we're going to fix the concerns of traffic or whatever, but
As I said, the chief and I and Eric have talked about this for a while. As you know, I inherited the post-COVID no parade, and the city has only had a Christmas parade one year. Prior to that, it was run by the community.
I understand.
So we inherited it and then killed it due to COVID. We've not come up with a safe way to do it on Appleton Pike without a total closure of Appleton Pike, which
What is the difference of doing something like that? I mean, like, look at Chattanooga City and all them. When they do parades, they close the roads down. They close the roads down for, what am I thinking of? My son participates
With the
in
East Ridge
marathons
Christmas
and stuff,
Parade.
and East Ridge,
they,
and they close them down for everything else they want. So,
Chattanooga, as an example, downtown is on a grid system. You have
Yeah.
alternate routes. That's
Okay.
the biggest thing. We've not come up with a safe way to do it that didn't either trap residents inside or outside their home or get complaints from the businesses who do not get enough people coming in because the routes are closed, et cetera. Because we fielded a lot of those, because it was 2018 the last time we did it. And that's how, after looking at those things and fielding those complaints, we came up with doing it on the other side in conjunction with Southern, like it was historically done for my whole childhood, as
Yeah.
being the best and safest route to do it and make it successful.
I think too, and I don't mean, I don't want to talk disparagingly, because I highly respect the university and the people that are there, but I'm kind of like the vice mayor. It should be in the community, represent the community. Is it going to be up there that's just going to be more people going to look at this? It's a Southern College thing. When it should be, it's a city it's a city thing. Want to join as partners, that's fine, but it needs to be a city recognition, not, and that's something that concerns me about that. Also, I have spoke with some of the businesses concerning the parade. I did some door to door, and a lot of them were not really upset about it being on a Sunday afternoon, so forth. They were more concerned about the trash, and they asked for maybe if we could furnish more garbage cans in their parking lots and stuff so people could throw the trash away. They weren't mad about people parking in the driveway. They weren't mad about, and I only talked to a few, though I didn't talk to every single one. Okay?
And I'm
Uh,
only speaking of the ones that called.
Yeah,
So it's not necessarily an indicative survey of every business. It's just the
Yeah.
ones that were upset, the complainers call.
yeah, and I,
not just-
and I'm going door to door and asking people that I do business with. So that was their main concern because they're very community minded also. But
Can I
that, it
add
was,
to your point about what you're saying about the main thoroughfare? I saw Eastridge's poster online today, and they're doing it on Ringgold Road from Germantown to Tomburus, and I dare
Yeah.
say that's probably busier than what we have. And they
Oh, yeah,
they
it's right
advertise,
down
and
the
the
middle.
businesses, they get excited. It's
Yeah.
business for them on that day. And they just know to make plans. Like if you're going to be at a restaurant, you're going to be there after you're done eating.
and that's what they were, because it does bring in some revenue, like you were
Mhm.
talking about. And I'm very with Eastridge because I remember participating in those when I was younger, because I worked in Eastridge, how they just shut it down. I think, I know it's a lot of hard work, and it does cost money to do and to do it right. But I would like to see us bring it back. I'd like to see us do it in a way that is, and say we do it and it doesn't work, then we don't do it again. But see what the response is to the people. The people going down right through here that I spoke with, because I was thinking that might be the main thoroughfare. They were like, it was the deal that the garbage. And if we could they put their garbage cans out, but if we would put more garbage cans in their parking spaces and parking lots so that people would actually throw the trash away. They didn't mind the people sitting. They didn't mind the people parking and looking. I know a few would probably complain. You're going to always have gripers no matter where you are. I mean, Lord, I gripe too, at times. Doesn't mean I'm right. But I think we need to look at that and look at what majority rules,
We'll have that
And what is
conversation
it?
next week.
do something like that. I'll shut up now.
That's all I have
Promise.
for tonight too.
I'm not promising because I don't break promises.
Okay, any further comments from the commissioners? Okay, without any further comments, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second?
And we have a motion for adjournment and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Sadler,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lloyd.
Yay. We are adjourned.
One more question. Could y'all hear me better tonight?
What?
Just a little bit? Okay, good.
Except for the prayer.
I'm sorry about the prayer. The mic wasn't on.